On this episode of Informal Dialogue, Team LymeTV interviewed Chris Fuentes, CEO of Ranger Ready. We got to tour the warehouse and learn all about Picaridin and also Chris's advocacy. We had so much fun on our tour, and our resident offspring got some cool swag. Thanks, Chris. Let's begin.
Sure. I had an interesting bout with Lyme, and I think one of the things that's common about my case of Lyme is it was misdiagnosed. I had a wonderful summer of golfing and playing tennis, and it was the end of the summer, and I had a bullseye, if you will, that went from my knee all the way to my groin, and it was at this point quite large, and so I went to the hospital and I checked in, and the guy said, "Well, you have MRSA." And they misdiagnosed it as a flesh-eating disease, and they thought I was contagious and put me in a contamination ward. And after 2 days of that, they were about to prep me for surgery, and actually I'd stopped eating. They were, prepping to put me under, and they were going to go ahead and try and cut this growth out of my leg. And an infectious disease doctor came in and said, "No, this guy has Lyme disease, and you can have dinner and give him some IV, and he'll be fine." And it was the case. I spent about 3 weeks on very heavy IV, and I was one of the fortunate ones who got a bullseye. As you know, only 50% of the people actually get a bullseye and are actually able to say, "This is where I was bitten." It's been a debilitating disease for many people, not just my family, but many families that we know. Picaridin is a synthetic compound. It was developed in Germany in 1989, and it was developed by the Bayer Pharmaceutical Group as a alternative to DEET to fight malaria. And they were successful in creating a product that had all of the benefits of DEET, but none of the side effects. In the 1990s is when that product became available. Picaridin came to this country in 2005. Picaridin is a product that was developed to mimic piperine, which has the same properties as pepper. Mosquitoes and ticks have receptors, and when they hit the picaridin, it's like a spray of pepper, and they repulse, and they move back. And that's basically what it is. It kind of jolts them away, and then they don't come back. It does not kill a tick. It will repel the tick, but it doesn't kill it. Picaridin is the most effective active ingredient against ticks. It is the one thing that repulses ticks and pulls them away and repels ticks. And other insects like gnats and chiggers and no-see-ums, and we've now learned that there are a dozen different flies. If you go to the greenhead flies in New Jersey, or the blackhead flies in the Adirondacks, or the buffalo flies in Florida, and it is effective against all of them, but some of them are a little more determined, so you have to make sure you apply a little bit more often. But it is effective against anything that is flying and biting and vectors like that. It does not stop bed bugs. People have asked us repeatedly if it stops bed bugs, and it doesn't stop spiders. That's another one that people didn't realize. And what's interesting is it's a very effective extra agent to stop ants crawling in your home. Picaridin is interesting because it absorbs at a slower rate, and so Picaridin absorbs at 6%, and DEET absorbs at 18%. That's one of the things that makes DEET last fewer hours, if you will. And no-see-ums and chiggers and gnats, they're pestier than mosquitoes and ticks, and they're a little more determined, if you will. So it's about 8 hours is a good protection for those, but really 12-hour protection from ticks and mosquitoes. So we launched on DEET. It's a 15-second video about not putting DEET on your cell phones and your watches and your sunglasses because it ruins your gear, right? We've been so surprised about is it has stimulated a conversation about my bug spray is better than your bug spray. And we're really excited about the fact that people who love DEET are out there talking about, "I love this product." And people who love oil of lemon eucalyptus, which is also approved by the CDC, they go, "I love this product." And people are standing up and saying, "Well, I really love Ranger Ready, and here's why." And what we're getting is a dialogue about people to put a vote in to use the products that are available in the market to help protect themselves. And our goal is to get people talking about repellents and wearing repellents. If you wear DEET, that's up to you. If you wear Picaridin, that's up to you, or OLE. But wear CDC recommended products that are actually approved by the EPA so that you can protect yourself properly. We've spoken a lot about Picaridin versus DEET and other products, but the EPA highly recommends that you have at least 20% of the active ingredient in the product. And if you use DEET or you use Picaridin or OLE or other products like that, make sure you have enough of the active ingredient. Many companies market Picaridin 10% or Picaridin 5% or DEET 5% or DEET 7%. They're not effective enough to keep you protected from ticks for more than 60 minutes or 90 minutes, and that's not enough protection time when you're exposed. There's a lot of discussion around naturals and whether they're effective or not, and the tick-borne working group, I think, summed it up quite well, which is people are under a false sense of security when they wear naturals like cedar oils and geranium oils or eucalyptus oils and lavenders and things like that. And we've learned a lot about people's attitudes around that. And what we've learned is that people want to put that on because they don't want to wear DEET products or synthetic products. And there's a large part of the market, the whole non-GMO movement or the whole foods movement, that says, let's go natural. And the difference is natural will protect you from a mosquito at a barbecue for 60 minutes. It does work. It's actually quite effective for mosquitoes for about 60 minutes. And if you reapply it, it's awesome. You can stay at the barbecue for about 4 hours. But it won't protect you from a tick. And that's what we've been trying to get people to understand is ticks are life-threatening. They will crawl right up over that oil and bite you and attach themselves because they don't really care. It doesn't affect their receptors the way we would like it to. Every year, 300 million rounds of golf are played between Memorial Day and Labor Day. That's a good number to think about. And every year, 400,000 people get Lyme disease. And there's a large crossover between going into the tall grass on a golf course and getting Lyme disease. So we've specifically targeted people who play golf, and we call it the don't be that guy. Don't be the guy that doesn't wear sunscreen. Don't be the guy that doesn't say something when he sees a tick on themselves. Go to the doctor. My partner just recently played golf with a guy, and he showed him the bullseye. He said, do you think that I should go to the doctor? He said, you should go now to the doctor. Don't play golf. Go to the doctor. So people, it's that not just ignorance, but it's almost this willful disregard for tick bites that is causing people to think they need to react differently to tick bites than they have in the past. And I think people are beginning, but it's still not where we need to be. If you watch some of the videos with me on golf with Matt Adams, we do a whole thing, 5 tips for golfers. The 5 tips for golfers: know before you go. Make sure you don't go into tall grass. Wear repellents. Don't be that guy. And we talk about take a shower before you go to the press conference. Don't go sit in the lounge without taking a shower. And this is when you get bitten. And take your clothes and put it in the laundry and put it in the dryer, We're working on really interesting applicators that can be used for horses. Picaridin is very effective at repelling horses, and we have horse owners who have told us that their horses are calmer because they're not having to shoot flies, if you will, or not being distracted by flies all day. They don't have to wear a fly mask. They're very concerned about tick bites, and the number of critters rolling around in a barn with horses are numerous, and it's easy to get Lyme disease, and now horses are getting powassan, which is killing them, and it's similar to what is happening with humans. So we're developing a product that will help apply the product to horses in a way that it won't spook them and it will feel very natural to them. So new products coming all the time, and there's additional products in development for 2020 and 2021. I think most people don't know where ticks actually, who carries or what carries ticks. And we all have the conception that it's called a deer tick, so it must be on a deer. And there are deer that carry ticks and plenty of them, but ticks have migrated down to any warm-blooded animal. So for example, mice and squirrels and raccoons and things that we commonly see in our backyard, foxes, rabbits, and all of a sudden there's bunnies everywhere, and all of those bunnies can carry ticks. And I think that's part of the issue is that people think the bunnies are beautiful, but they really do carry ticks and bring them onto your lawn. So anything that can carry a tick will increase your exposure. One of the things we highly recommend that people do is not have bird feeders. Migratory birds carry ticks, and if you have a bird feeder on your property, you're attracting tick taxis, we call them tick taxis, to your property. So don't have a bird feeder. That's one of the first misconceptions, is that it's only deer and it's okay to have a bird feeder. One of the things I like to share with people so they have a better understanding of how they could possibly be bitten by a tick is to think, as you walk out your front door, how am I going to be exposed to a tick? And squirrels and rabbits and raccoons and birds and bird feeders and anything that attracts small animals to your home will enable ticks to travel nearer to your home. So we want to abate those things. The second piece to that is to make sure that as you walk through your own personal property, that you're not walking up against brush that hits against the side of your leg as you go to your garage, or you're going around the back of the garden, or you're sitting on your deck. They will come and find you. If they have a leaf to hang out on, they'll scratch against your leg and jump on board. And I think people have to realize that the trip to the mailbox that happens every day is most likely where you're going to be bitten, or your dog coming into the house and jumping on your couch where you just sat to watch TV is the most easy place or the most common place to be bitten. And people need to be vigilant about that. And People love their animals, they really do, and cats and dogs are part of our family life, but they are the ones who mostly bring ticks into the house. And so the first step is for you to kind of think about your own environment, that little sphere of place you have between your car and your home and your backyard or your apartment or where you are at work perhaps. Many people are exposed at work. They don't realize it where they park their car, for example. Many people park their car back into a shady bush to get a shady parking spot, but that's where the ticks like to hang out because they like the shade, not the hot sun. Regular use of repellents is an important part of protecting yourself, and I love the term personal protective measures. I think that's the right thing, is you need to personally protect yourself, like wearing a seatbelt, like wearing sunscreen, like wearing a condom. All these things that we've learned to do and take care of ourselves, and repellents now fits into that category of personal protective measures. You should put repellents on every day. You should put it on in the morning before you leave the bathroom, and sometimes that's inconvenient, but certainly on the exposed skin and outdoor where you are, you have to use the product to be protected. And that's the next barrier. I think one of the toughest leaps of confidence is, I'm going to spray my children every day. People will learn. It takes time.